and be back a little later.
Hey, Eddie. Hey, man. Hey, man. Eddie, I met you here last week with Tommy Gilroy.
Yeah, right. How you doing?
Good. Listen, I heard you guys are looking for a new bass player.
Yeah, Richie's leaving. I think I got a guy coming from Jersey, but I haven't decided.
Well, what do you say I come try out?
We're going to be setting up here tomorrow around 5:30. Why don't you drop by and see what you got?
All right, great.
Well, you see, when I was courting Sophia, she was so young and so pure. It seemed impossible that I could ever have her. I didn't want to tell her how I felt. And yet, I wanted to tell her nothing else. So, I wrote a string of letters and I asked her if she would decipher them. At first, she was completely confused and thought it was some sort of a game or something. So I gave her a clue. One clue. The first two letters I said stand for your youth. And that was all I said. And then the most miraculous thing happened. She simply spoke the phrase, "Your youth and your desire for happiness cruelly remind me of my age and the impossibility of happiness for me." The entire phrase, my phrase, it was as if she had read my mind. From that moment, we both knew we would be together forever. Well, for the first few years we were incredibly, terribly happy. And now this.
Stuart Deacon Baker, 51 years old, a former icon of the American country western music scene, has returned to Harlem, his birthplace, to record a new album. So tell me a little bit about the album.
Well, it's a new direction for me. I'm trying something edgier, something riskier. It's a hip-hop album.
In the 80s, Baker cemented his reputation as the premier patriotic country star. But his song Commie on the album Blacklist, in which he called out members of the entertainment industry for their alleged leftist leanings, proved to be his downfall.
I probably shouldn't have done that. Oh, hell, I was high on something. Coke, speed, lawn fertilizer, something really messed up. Oh, when that album was released, ooh, I had hit rock bottom. I was down and out.
Why are you doing this?
Huh?
I mean, it does seem like a stretch. Aren't you afraid of embarrassing yourself?
Embarrassing myself? Hell, that ain't gonna happen.
Start clucking, matter of fact, I'm plucking them cats who trying to come back, I'm getting money trying.
Sheer laziness. Oh, yes, he was under a lot of stress, but you know, I suggested jogging as an alternative to genocide. That was when we first discussed. The grand scheme of things. You see, God wanted mankind to love him, but of his own volition. Oh, but he failed to see the problems associated with volition. Reluctantly, I drew up the plan. You see, In order for them to choose God's love, we would have to give human beings free will. And in order for free will to work, there would have to be consequences to every action, and to enforce consequences, there would have to be souls. And for souls, there would have to be a place to keep them, and a system for dealing with them, and so on. You see, God didn't care what happened to those who rejected him and his good word. He just assumed elimination. But if you destroy the consequence part of the free will formula, well, then that whole equation just falls apart. Some need punishment, a consequence for escaping their earthly responsibility. And as for all those others, I didn't think that he was being fair, condemning them in the same manner. I mean, once you have created these flawed and imperfect creatures, how can you expect blind, absolute obedience without divine intervention? So he said, sure, all right, but you will have to take care of the rejects in the afterlife. Oh, so he agreed to some form of divine intervention on earth. Oh, he sent down a series of mortal messengers every few years. Oh, of course, whom you destroyed, which proved my point, but it only made him very angry. I said to him, you're being too subtle. Human beings are flawed, cynical, and imperfect in nature. Give them some obvious, grandiose miracles that they can see and believe in, and then nobody would have questioned him or rejected him and his good word, and there would be peace on earth and no need for this ridiculous system. But unfortunately, there is a difference in opinion. He finds a lack of blind faith insulting. His pride demands absolute, unconditional love without being seen or felt. I think that is an unfair expectation from so imperfect a creature. Oh, but he will never admit that his creation is imperfect. Stubborn pride! That's where you all get it from. So how ironic it seems that I am the one taking care of you, that I am the one that all human beings despise, that I am the evil one responsible for all pain and suffering on earth. How ironic it seems that I am the scapegoat of both God and man. And that is the image that I have agreed to maintain on his wish, that I cater to your human sentiments in the afterlife. And do you know why I think he accommodates your human impressions of heaven and hell? Because you humans create a far more dramatic and glamorous image than it all really is. And personally, I find it really humiliating to have to wear these horns and to put up with all this. But that is the concession that I had to make to spare your inferior and imperfect souls.